Hello again, book fans, movie fans, and music fans. Because we're going to have to show all three of um, of those things here in my King Arthur collection, which is all of the books, movies, and music. Inspired by the legend of King Arthur and all of the Arthurian mythos. So first, I'm going to show the books, of which I have a few here, then the music, and then at the end, the movies. So let's get started. Here we have one of the most famous ones, of the modern era at least. We have The Once and Future King by T.H. White, which is in fact a compilation of, I believe it is 4 books, which were have been published independently, but mostly you can find it here in this one's in compiled as The Once and Future King. But the independent books are The Sword in the Stone, The Queen of Air and Darkness, The Ill-Made Knight, and The Candle in the Wind. Okay, so those 4 sections or 4 books tell the story of King Arthur pretty much the way we know it. Retrieving the sword from the stone, and then Merlin's guidance, his marriage to Guinevere, his Guinevere's betrayal with Lancelot, and then ultimately Arthur's demise. An absolute classic, The Once and Future King. Here we go now with a more modern one. It is called The Pendragon, right there by Catherine Christian. Of course, as you know, Pendragon was kind of like Arthur's last name, so to speak. He was Arthur Pendragon. Okay, and this one, I thought it was going to be more. I hesitated when I started to read this, because I got this one used, but I said, what the hell. I thought it was going to be more fantasy romance style, but no, it was a very, very good. There was, of course, romance, and it does follow the traditional story. Very well written. The Pendragon. Highly recommended. Not as highly as Once and Future King, but pretty good. Here we have one I have not read because it is part of a series, and I have book 2. It is a Merlin, right here by Stephen R. Lawhead, excuse me. Stephen R. Lawhead. This is the second one in his Pendragon cycle. And I believe the first one was Taliesin. Here we have another which I have not read. It is a book that was originally written, or yes, one can say originally published in 1924, but this edition is from 1936. We are talking about King Arthur and His Knights, a compilation of most of the Arthurian mythos. Love that cover. And I love this book. The book is even though it's a bit faded here, the cover, but it is in excellent condition. The pages are. Okay, so King Arthur and His Knights. Another modern classic of Arthurian literature. It is The Mists of Avalon by Marion Zimmer Bradley. Yes, I have read this one. I also have the miniseries that was based on it, and also the soundtrack for that miniseries. But anyway, The Mists of Avalon here told from the point of view of Morgan Le Fay, who is her, right? Or rather, from the point of view of all of the women in the Arthurian mythos. Morgane, Guinevere herself as well. All of the priestess around the old religion. Okay, The Mists of Avalon, an epic tale, very well told, a modern classic. Another one that to me is the best of the modern Arthurian retellings. It is Bernard Cornwell's The Winter King. which is part of a trilogy. I do have all three. Okay, this Bernard Cornwell is a writer of historical fiction. He has several series, very successful ones. This is his own take on the Arthurian mythos. He very much grounds it in reality. There is no magic here, even though there is talk of magic and the characters believe in magic, but there are no magic or spells in it, even though Merlin does appear in the story. Excellently well written, a gripping tale. This is the first in the trilogy, the second being Enemy of God, here, a novel of Arthur, as it says. And then finishing it off with Excalibur. And all of the main players in the Arthurian mythos are here. Arthur, Lancelot, Guinevere, Merlin. However, each of them is given their own more realistic take on the character. Okay? And even if you already know the story, very well, this is still going to be a great read. Highly recommend The Winter King. Now we go with one that does not rely, but yes, does include a lot of magic. It is the Merlin trilogy by Mary Stuart here. This one here is a compilation of the books, which are The Crystal Cave, The Hollow Hills, and The Last Enchantment. Okay. There we go. Love that cover, which is a wraparound cover. So this is a compilation of her Merlin trilogy with those 3 books. And I believe I've only read the first one, which is The Crystal Cave. Okay, which is told from the point of view of Merlin. Okay, which is why it's called the Merlin trilogy. In fact, the entire series is from Merlin's point of view. Now we go with this compilation of short stories, which is called Excalibur. Okay, so these are several stories by several authors, upon Marion Zimmer Bradley, Charles DeLint, Diana Gabaldon, Mercedes Lackey, and Eric Lustbader, and many others. All right. Like many short story collections, a bit hit and miss, and many of these stories are only tangentially about Arthur or the Arthurian mythos. They're in some of them you'd say, well, this is just a normal fantasy story with just a hint of the Arthurian mythos thrown in there. Some are good, some are bad. Excalibur. Now for a couple of non-fiction novels. Here we have The Keys to Avalon, The True Location of Arthur's Kingdom Revealed, which is shall we say, an archaeological book that has some revelations regarding as to where Arthur's kingdom really was, located within the British kingdoms. Okay, The Keys to Avalon. This was one of the very first Arthurian books that I ever bought. A more recent one here is King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. This serves as very much as a reference guide to all of the Arthurian mythos. Okay, so we have entries right there for many of the Arthurian mythos, which one could look up here. The Tale of Tristan, Sir Kay, Codes of Arthurian Conduct and Honor, Lancelot, and also very good, very very well illustrated throughout. Very good edition. Enjoyed a lot. I also have on ebook, though I have not read any of them, but I do have them on ebook. A compiling of King Arthur novels, upon which are which is called the King Arthur Collection. I'm going to put the cover over here on the side, which includes Le Morte d'Arthur, Idylls of the King, King Arthur and His Knights, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, and A Kinetic Yankee in King Arthur's Court. All right, so all of those novels are compiled in the King Arthur collection. Editing me here, there are two Arthurian books that I almost forgot to mention, and these are novelizations for the Merlin television miniseries. Now, there are 3 of these, but unfortunately I only have 2. So the ones I have are The Old Magic and The King's Wizard, parts 1 and 2, respectively, of course. So like I said, novelizations, meaning they were based on the miniseries, not the other way around. All right, these were written by James Mallory, and the third one is called The King's Wizard. For novelizations, they're pretty good. Okay, they give you a little bit more insight into the story that's presented in the miniseries. The other one is Prince Valiant. Here I have several volumes. I believe I have 14 of these compilations by year. As you can see, this is the first year, 1937, of the Prince Valiant comic strip. All right, so they have been compiled as such. Like this, with one section on each page. Now, why do I show Prince Valiant? Because his adventures were in the times of King Arthur. King Arthur appears in the comic strips, as well as several other characters from Arthurian mythos, you know, the rest of the Knights of the Round Table, Queen Guinevere herself, even though the stories do center around the Prince Valiant himself. All right, the artwork here by Hal Foster is absolutely stunning. It is just, every page is just a joy to look at. A classic style that has influenced many comic book artists to this very day. Okay, I do wish I had all of these, but as they were coming out, you know, they were a bit pricey, so I was only able to get a few of the volumes. Okay, I do hope to get more in the future. And yet another that I had almost forgotten. Here I have Arthur the Seeing Stone, the first in a trilogy, here by Kevin Crossley Holland. This is my Spanish language edition, which I read. And this is one of those where it is Arthurian by proxy or tangentially, you know, because it is about a young boy in the Middle Ages, much after Arthur's time, who, with a stone, a seeing stone, he is able to see parts of the life of his namesake, King Arthur, because his name is called Arthur of Camelot. Okay, so this young boy, Arthur of Camelot, with the aid of this magic stone, is able to see back in time to the times of King Arthur. All right, so the Seeing Stone, it is a part of a trilogy here by Kevin Crossley Holland. Now we go with the music inspired by King Arthur, and we have here by Rick Wakeman, the keyboardist of the band Yes. We have King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, okay? Or rather, the Myths and Legends of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, which is the full title. Here we have the sword and the stone on the cover. Can we see it? Here's the back cover with the sword coming out of the lake. Here is the gatefold. It has an insert here. That is the famous round table that is in a church, I believe, or I am going to put down here where that church is. Here we have an engraving or an illustration. And we have the lyrics. and this booklet. Great music right there by Rick Wakeman. Here I have the soundtrack to The Mists of Avalon, the miniseries. Okay, a really good soundtrack, very fitting to the theme of the story. You know, by Lee Holdridge, who has done many a score. This one is particularly good. I really enjoyed listening to this one. Now we have here even though I don't have the soundtrack for Camelot the musical, I do have for this musical, which is called this French production called La Légende du Roi Arthur. Okay, with that very attractive looking cast, and the songs here have a bit of a rock pop feel to them. Okay, but catchy as hell. I really enjoy listening to this one. You know, a lot of great stuff here. Check it out if you can. La Légende du Roi Arthur, which of course means the legend of King Arthur. Last but certainly not least, here for the music, we have The Once and Future King, parts 1 and 2, right here, by Gary Hughes. Now, Gary Hughes is a singer in a band called The 10. He's also done a lot of solo stuff and collaborated. But his style is melodic rock, modern melodic rock, with the hints of power metal here and there. And that's what you get here. Okay? And this is absolutely stunning stuff. Stellar stuff. I love these two albums, The Once and Future King, parts 1 and 2. There's a whole bunch of guest stars apart from Gary Hughes who does the vocals. Okay, let me put on my glasses so I can just rattle off some names. Like, for instance, we have Doogie White, okay, Bob Catley, Sabine Edelsbacher, Sean Harris, Danny Vaughan, Irene Jensen, Damian Wilson. Okay, really good stuff. You know, that could have been a musical in and of itself. And now we have all of the movies, miniseries, animated films, and TV series based on King Arthur. You know, not all of them are strictly based on the King Arthur mythos, but they are Arthurian in one way or another. All right, we'll start with an animated film, which I'm sure everybody is familiar with, which is The Sword in the Stone here. In Spanish, it is La Espada en la Piedra. You will see some of these titles in Spanish. That's because I live in Mexico. Okay, so this one is based upon a section of The Once and Future King called precisely The Sword in the Stone, which is, I believe, the first part of that novel, which I have read. The novel by T.H. White. It comes in a slipcase. Here's the alternate cover on the DVD itself. Okay. I will be putting down here the title of the movie as well as the year it came out. Now we go with a musical, which is, of course, Camelot. Here with Richard Harris and I believe it is Vanessa Redgrave, and the roles of King Arthur and Guinevere. This is, like I said, a musical. A lot of great songs here. It is very long. Okay, I believe it is about 3 hours long, as was the stage play upon which it was based. Okay, really good movie. Okay, a lot of a classic type romance in this. Love that cover. Camelot. I wish I had the soundtrack album, separately. But anyway, here we now come with perhaps the best, well, certainly my favorite King Arthur movie of all time, which is, of course, Excalibur. I was lucky enough to see this when it originally came out, directed by John Boorman. And yes, historically inaccurate as all get out, but I don't care. It perfectly captures the Arthurian mythos. Okay. Excalibur. Great. I've seen it many times, Everybody just does a fantastic job in their roles. The actor that is King Arthur himself, regal as well as vulnerable. Okay. The very beautiful Sherry Lungi as Guinevere. I also have it on DVD. Well, in fact, I had it first on DVD, then I bought the Blu-ray. This one had a really cool poster also, which I'm going to put here on the side. Now we go with what I believe is a made-for-TV movie, and it is a Guinevere. Right there with the Cheryl Lee as Guinevere. And this is really more of a story between Guinevere and Lancelot. Okay, though it is not the traditional story of both of them. King Arthur also appears here. Okay, but it is also based on a novel, which I don't know if it has if it is also called Guinevere. I'm going to put also the author's name down here. I have not read that novel. Okay, pretty good. It gives a more shall we say down to earth feel to it. Donald Pleasance also stars here. Now for an excellent miniseries based on one of the classic books of Arthurian literature, the modern ones at least. It is The Mists of Avalon. Okay, The Mists of Avalon, fantastic miniseries, right there. Everybody does. It centers around Morgan Le Fay, or I believe here she is called Morgana or Morgane. I believe because there's several characters. One is Morgane and another Morgana. All right, and it absolutely love this miniseries. I love the book as well. Okay, which I have read. Okay, highly recommended. I also have the soundtrack album to this one. Okay. The Mists of Avalon. Now we go with another miniseries that's also very well loved. It is simply Merlin. Okay, with Sam Neill as Merlin, and it tells the story of King Arthur from Merlin's point of view. Okay. Adds some things also. Isabella Rossellini stars as well as Martin Short in several, in one role, but he has several guises of that role. Really love this series. Miniseries, excuse me. Merlin. One that does not feature King Arthur, but it is a story that is often put within the Arthurian mythos, and that would be Tristan and Isolde. Here with James Franco and this very beautiful woman whose name is Sophia Myles, right there. This, like I said, in the movie, it does not mention King Arthur at all, and but like I said, it's sometimes the story of Tristan and Isolde is put within the Arthurian mythos. Some people put it. I bought this used, as you can see by all those price stickers right there, which I have yet to take out. Pretty good as well. One now for a TV series, which I kind of have mixed feelings about, because even though I love the look of it and I like the twist that they gave to the King Arthur mythos, the actor that they chose to play King Arthur is totally lame. I'm talking about Camelot here. The complete first season, and it was the only season, unfortunately. The series ends kind of in a cliffhanger, or not a cliffhanger, but yes, it does end in such a way that you are led to believe that there's going to be more. All right. And the absolutely gorgeous Eva Green starts right there as Morgan Le Fay, being appropriately mystical and evil. A really interesting take on Merlin, also. Okay, very well done series. It looks very good, but like I said, this guy belongs in some CW teen drama, not as King Arthur. There you go. But for what it is, pretty good. Camelot. Here we have a couple of films that, again, are tangential to King Arthur. In fact, they just have the character, which I have here in this fantasy film collection of 4 movies. Okay. Even though it says here 8 movies, but there are, let me see. No, there's only 4 movies here. Okay. And but the movies that I'm talking about are Merlin's Apprentice, which was a very cheaply made sequel to the Merlin TV series that I watched, that I just showed right now. It does star Sam Neill again as Merlin, and he's teaching an apprentice. It goes more into the comedy side, that one. And the other one is called Merlin, The Return. Let's see if you can see it right there. Again, it just has Merlin the character, and but it has very little to do with the King Arthur mythos. Last and but not least, another one that takes a, shall we say, a more modern take on King Arthur and gives it a bit of a twist. It is the one that is simply called King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. All right. And I believe, and I did like this one. I did see this when it originally came out in the movie theater. Enjoyed it. With Jude Law, and the actor who is Charlie Hunnam is the actor that is King Arthur. Which here you might think it is this guy is King Arthur. This guy. But no, it is the other guy. This guy. So this guy is over here is the evil king. All right. So King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. Pretty good. Even though, like I said, it does not follow the King Arthur mythos as we know them, but since these are myths, I think there is a bit of license to change things around. All right. Well, those are my King Arthur movies and books. Okay. So thank you very much for watching. Keep reading and watching.